Hello everybody, welcome to Savage Ink Studios. I'm your host, Ink, and today's Sketchbook Storytime is about that short period of time that I ended up in a really, really bad school. So, for those of you who are familiar with my channel, you may know that my parents were split up when I was younger, so I lived in two different environments. My dad lived in a really well-off, nice, rich neighborhood, and don't get me wrong, like, I hated going to school when I lived with him too, because people were jerks, you know, stuck up and not super understanding of the weird little goth potato that I was. But there was a brief period of time when I lived with my mom before I dropped out of school, where I ended up going to school in her neighborhood. And my mother always lived in a really rough inner city urban area. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the rich neighborhood schools that I went to when I was living at my dad's house. People were jerks, sure. I got quote-unquote bullied, but, you know, outside of just being a hormonal teenager and being sad about everything, getting quote-unquote bullied there was not the end of the world for me. Pretty early on in my school life there, things came to blows and people learned to leave me alone, more or less. People would, you know, talk behind my back, but the physical stuff wasn't so much of an issue. And yeah, people were jerks, but it wasn't anything more than what I could handle, and I had the benefit of everyone being afraid of me. So even though nobody liked me, nobody really wanted to mess with me in any serious way either, because they were all terrified because I could easily outlift the football players in our weight room. I was the biggest, baddest fish in this school. Even before I was a junior when I dropped out. As a freshman, I can still pretty confidently say that I was the biggest, baddest, toughest, and most scary fish in that whole high school pond. So, you can imagine my shock when my very first day at a not very nice inner city school, walking through the hallways. Already, it's nerve-wracking being in a new school with people you don't know, in the type of neighborhood that you're not used to living in anymore. And it's definitely a different vibe. You can very much tell that, Dorothy, you are not in Kansas anymore. You know what I mean? But the very first day that I was sitting there with a map like a tourist trying to find my first class, two girls started fighting in the hallway. One of them took a locker combination and hit the other girl in the face with it until she started bleeding. There was blood on the floor, there was blood on the walls, there was blood on the teachers trying to pull them apart. And that was my, oh shit, I'm not in Kansas anymore moment, where I realized that I was most definitely not the biggest nor baddest fish in the pond anymore. I was not even a guppy. I was toast, was what I was, and I very, very quickly realized that now. I probably could have made it through that period of time in school without incident, and probably could have made some friends, been fine, and made it through until I inevitably went back to my other school. However, there was a hiccup in this coulda, shoulda, woulda plan. And that goes back to when I was originally in an inner city school, not high school, elementary school. And apparently, I was just as much of a little asshole in kindergarten as I am now. Because outside of my memory, but apparently it did happen, when I was in kindergarten, some little jerk stole my Legos, and I guess my response was then to bite her. I mean, come on, guys, I was 4. You know, like, nobody holds you to things that you did when you were 4, right? That would be ridiculous. ridiculous though it may have been, the girl that I bit in kindergarten went to that high school, and she sure recognized me, and she made a point to definitely hold to the fact that I did this thing, and regardless of being 4, she was going to make my life hell for it. Yeah, so all of that coulda, shoulda, woulda, made friends, made it through, and realistically, in a school full of bad kids, how easy would it have been to not do anything in class and still not get in trouble and just skate by blending into the background? It could have been easy, were it not for this girl who I bit in kindergarten. She went around telling everybody that I thought I was a vampire and that I would try to bite them all of these years later. And all of the people who kind of were talking to me decided that they were not going to talk to me unless they were going to try to torment me. I.e., stealing my hair, stealing my notebooks, and me, who would normally have no problem with swinging a fist at someone for messing with me, was not about to swing fists at someone who may very well be carrying a knife, because that was not an unusual occurrence in that area. If I punched somebody, the likelihood was that I was going to get stabbed, or shot, or jumped by 6 people. And that kind of put me in a not so great position. So while I probably could have gotten through that all fine were it not for this girl decided that she was going to make my life hell. And it was very much hell for a very long time. And I ended up going back to the high school in my dad's neighborhood because, alas, living with my mother didn't work out. We can get into the back and forth of how little potato me was tug of warred over. But then, as soon as I hit puberty, it was a game of hot potato where nobody wanted me around. But after I ended up back in my kingdom of rich neighborhood school, where everyone was intimidated by me and everyone was scared of me and nobody messed with me, who should transfer to my school but that same girl who decided that she was going to make my life hell when I transferred to her school. It was fate, you guys. I could not help myself. I mean, what are the odds that I transfer to a school where I could have done fine and did terribly because someone messed with me, and then after going back to my school, my kingdom, that same person gets transferred? It was a sign from above. I could not just let it go and let it be. So I pulled strings everywhere. One of the only people that I was friends with was a social butterfly chameleon. From my very first story, the girl who forced me to be her best friend was friends with everybody. And while she didn't approve of bullying, I shared my story with her, and she suddenly became very much okay with telling all of her friends in all of their groups to tell all of their friends in all of their groups what had gone down, and that it would be a huge favor to the big scary goth girl that no one wanted fucking with them if they would make her feel especially unwelcome. Now, it was a rich, high-end neighborhood kind of school, so nobody jumped her because it wasn't that type of area. That wasn't something that just went down in that kind of school. But everybody from the sportsy people, to the drama kids, to the popular girls, to the bookworms and the manga kids, and all of these people were suddenly making an effort to make her feel very much not at home, laughing at her as she walked by and calling her names, and spreading the story of how she decided that it would be a good idea to mess with the scary goth girl that everyone was afraid of, and it wasn't going to end well. And it didn't end well for her. She lasted just about as long in my school as I had lasted in hers. So, that is the story of that time that I ended up in way over my head at a school I most definitely did not belong in, and the retribution that was handed to me from the powers that be in an unbelievably perfect way. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that story. I apologize. I might have told this one before, but I'm not going through the God knows how many videos I've made so far to try and find if I've already posted this. If I did, be sure to roast me for being an idiot in the comment section below. So I am also, again, going to be... I found the backdrop, the image that I needed for all of the fan art that was made for this channel. So right now, I would like to thank all of these amazing artists who have made these awesome fan art pieces for my channel. I appreciate it so much. You guys know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you guys know where to put them. If there's anything that you want to see on this channel, please let me know. I'm trying to change things up and make you guys happy. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.